So Grammar for Writing is a blend of composition and grammar. Half the class will be focused on teaching students writing tips, and the second half of the class will be teaching them grammar rules. Now, it's important to sort of tie in both lessons into each other so that students don't get confused about the progression of the class, right? So today what I want to do is sort of go through the different components that may be unfamiliar for Cheongdam instructors. Primarily the lectures that go on in the classroom, they switch from composition and grammar. So those are the two main lectures that you have. And also there is a editing session, one primarily focused on composition, but also grammar, and another one purely focused on grammar. Okay? So the first part of the class is, like I said, it is, the first part of the class is focused on composition. And the instructor starts with a lecture. Now, when I taught this class, the composition lectures were much easier because a lot of them were topics that kids could sort of relate to in some senses, right? Although some do not relate as much, like let's say the first week's lesson, the Academy Awards, you could change it to sort of to have it to make it digestible for the students. So some key things, for example, if the topic is the Academy Awards, like it is in week 1's lesson, the instructor, what they can do or what you can do is go to the broader topic, which would be movie awards, and use a lot of Q&A. For instance, John, who's your favorite actress? Why? Right? Okay, what movies has she been in? And then kind of extend this to sort of also ask, like, well, did she win anything? Was it a big movie? Did it win a lot of awards? Did she generate a lot of money? And did it generate a lot of money? And sort of transitioning to the lesson. So it's important to always sort of start with discussion, because the point of Grammar for Writing is that it needs to be interactive in order for students to truly grasp all the lessons, right? Also, which I'll mention later, the in-class essay edit, students will be sharing their own writing, so it's important for them to be comfortable with each other. So definitely have students interact with each other. Like, Kate, do you agree with John's preference for this actress or this actor? The next component that is a little bit difficult for instructors to sort of grasp would probably be sample essay edit and in-class essay edit. The two are very different because sample essay edit is done independently, meaning the instructor will give students a sheet of paper with preset errors, or will give an essay with preset errors from the book, and they'll have 10 minutes to independently solve the grammar errors. Now, it's important for the instructors in the first few weeks to sort of guide students, because they're going to have trouble with several things. First, they're going to have trouble identifying that there is an error. And I think that's going to be one of the key things of sample essay edit for them to see, is that they need to sort of have a system in order to identify and then correct the error. So it's not as much as correcting the error. I think once they see and identify, oh, there's a subject-verb agreement error, it's easy to correct, but it's the identifying that many of the students have a problem with. Why is this relevant? Well, because when these students write essays, many of them don't spend a lot of time revising and going through their essays. So this will help them, and it's not because they're lazy as much of the time, it's just they don't know what to look for. So sample essay edit is a good way to train students to sort of look for errors in their own papers in the future, especially when they move on to high school and eventually college. The next component that may also be a little bit confusing, because we don't really do this in Cheongdam, is the in-class essay edit. I thought this was probably one of the more I would say the more enjoyable experiences of the class, because it's very interactive and it involves a lot of student participations. So just to summarize, in-class essay edit, students are required to find errors and correct them in order for them to get the in-class, in order for them to get a good grade on the in-class essay edit. So in some ways, they're sort of forced to participate, but I guarantee you in the beginning, most students will have a tough time raising their hands and looking for and finding those errors. So again, like sample essay edit, students will need to sort of be able to identify where the errors are. And this is a little bit harder because it's their the students' essays, right? So the essays of the peers, their peers' essays, right? So it's going to be a little bit awkward in the beginning, but I think it's important for you to sort of make sure that each student is comfortable with each other. And again, that's why I sort of emphasize that during any of the interactive lessons, you have more and more student-to-student interaction so that they are comfortable with critiquing each other and responding to each other, especially because of this one section, right? In general, the class flow is pretty straightforward, but it could get a little bit difficult because there's so many grammar exercises and composition exercises within the book. So the key thing is, although there is a teacher's guide that sort of maps out which ones that you should or should not do, also take a look and see which exercises would help your students the most. That will sort of give you a way to sort of tailor the class for your, tailor the book for your class and the material. Remember that this is only a 4-week course, so it's important to sort of plan beforehand and set goals for the students so that they have some form of noticeable improvement, right? But otherwise, the other components are fairly straightforward. The in-class essay itself, you just pass out the paper and have them write. Otherwise, that's the program in a nutshell. So.